Last week, we had Austin Dillon wrecking the top two guys for the win. This week, we have a double overtime. It's been too chaotic recently. Thank God we go to a normal race next week. Oh God, it's Daytona next week. Oh no. Whew, NASCAR. It's been pretty chaotic here lately, but oh my goodness. We had LaJoie flipping this race. We had major playoff implications, all three bubble guys, 3 of the 4 bubble guys, I guess Ty Gibbs is a bubble guy as well, got involved in some sort of wreck or spin, and we had regular season championship implications. Denny Hamlin spun out, Kyle Larson wrecked, Chase Elliott on the last lap lost like 10 positions, and Tyler Reddick won the race and took the regular season lead. Now, there's so much to talk about, but first I want to say it was actually quite a great race, if you ask me. We had different guys up front. We saw Chase Elliott, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski was up there for a bit. I mean, we had a lot of different leaders. Kyle Busch led like 20 laps in this race, and he's been terrible this year. And, in fact, Kyle Busch won a stage. That might be the biggest shock of the day. Can't believe I'm saying those words. But anyways, the point being, so much happened in this race, and yes, the end got a little manufactured, but the guy who was lead, who would have won, ended up winning anyway, so kind of worked itself out, unless you're Ross Chastain. We'll talk about that. But as I said, great racing. We saw cars going north of 200 miles per hour heading into turn 1. We saw the draft had a big impact on this race, not necessarily in a pack, but when you're right behind a guy, you could pull up and you could fly by him. We saw Bubba Wallace go 3 wide to take the lead on Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin yesterday. Today is Monday. We started this race yesterday. Speaking of, quick little note. This has to do with the channel. It'll be like 30 seconds at the absolute most. But normally we do the Monday after live stream where we talk about everything I miss here and other things. We look at the point standings and whatnot. Usually we do it the day after the race, but I can't do the day after the race tomorrow on Tuesday, so we're going to do it tonight. I have not set a time, but check the community post. I will announce it sometime later this afternoon. Anyways, back to the race itself. We saw great racing. We saw a bunch of different leaders, but as I said, we had major regular season championship implications, and we had major playoff implications, and sometimes at the same time. The first incident we saw of the day was Denny Hamlin yesterday. Once again, yesterday, the first 51 laps of this race were run yesterday, Sunday. Well, Denny Hamlin, while fighting for the lead with the car he owns, ironically, Bubba Wallace, he spun out off of turn 4, went into the grass, and damaged the underbody of his car. Well, that happened to be what we thought was the end of his competitiveness. Well, as a result, Hamlin ended up going without scoring any stage points today, and ultimately that could cost him in the regular season championship, but he did rally for a top 10 finish, which to me was surprising because they said the floor of that car was actually pretty damaged when he went through the grass and started bumping up and down. And now we go to the rest of the regular season championship implications. The championship contenders for the regular season championship are Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin. What if I told you only one of those guys scored stage points today? You'd be quite surprised. In that first stage, all 4 were running inside of the top 5 or top 6. I think at one point they were 1, 2, 3, 4, but then the late caution with Hamlin's spin shuffled things up, mixed strategy, and only Chase Elliott scored stage points. He scored 9 stage points by finishing second in stage 1. No one else in the regular season championship contention scored a stage point the rest of the day. No one scored them in stage 1 outside of Elliott, and no one scored them in stage 2. It was really bizarre, but it just had to do with the way that the cautions fell at the end of these stages. Now, the next big moment not only impacted the regular season championship, but it impacted the playoff bubble. Kyle Larson led the opening 34, 35 laps of this race, led a few more later on. He was in the middle of the pack. The strategy kind of shuffled everyone up. In their mid-pack, they had top 5 speed with Bubba Wallace, with Martin Truex Jr., Tyler Reddick, all those guys. And, Kyle Larson just kind of lost it. And in the process of losing his car, he took himself out and he took out he didn't take out, but he knocked out any chance of a competitive finish of playoff driver Bubba Wallace. Also involved in this crash was another playoff bubble driver, Chris Buescher. Buescher had a little bit of damage, and throughout the day they weren't competitive, but at the end they showed up. They actually got a really good finish, and they had some stage points in stage 1 to back up them in some way. So ultimately Buescher recovered, but Bubba Wallace, this killed his day. Larson went from leading the regular season championship standings, scoring 0 stage points, finishing 34th, 35th, whatever it was. And all of a sudden, Kyle Larson is 4th in the regular season standings, 32 points behind, going to Daytona, a track he's horrible at. So Kyle Larson, all of a sudden, who we thought was probably going to be the favorite to win this thing, might be the long shot now to win the regular season championship because he lost the car. He wrecked himself and he took out a bunch of guys with him. And then later on, as I said, Tyler Reddick won the race. Chase Elliott had a bad final restart, and ultimately now Tyler Reddick's leading the regular season championship. But as for the bubble, very interesting today. As I said, stage points by all 4 guys. Ty Gibbs scored 9 or 8 in stage 2. Bubba Wallace scored 7 in stage 1. Chris Buescher scored 6 in stage 2. Ross Chastain scored 10 total on the day. So all 4 guys right there on the bubble, all within just a handful of points, were able to score stage points, and at some point in the day, looked like they could have a competitive finish. Some of them did. Some of them did not. But the next big major implication to the bubble was Ross Chastain. There was a caution with 4 or 5 laps to go. It was not a caution. Martin Truex Jr. simply slipped up the track, smacked the wall a bit, but no smoke, no spin, no crash. He slowed down, but he was getting back up to speed. But NASCAR, they wanted a fancy overtime finish, and they say, oh, car wrapped up, button. Austin Cindric did the exact same thing earlier in the day. Guess what? It wasn't a caution. I wish NASCAR would be more consistent on when they call cautions, but ultimately we don't all get our wishes. Now, in this first overtime restart, everything got jumbled up. Alex Bowman hits the wall. Everyone stacks it behind him. Around goes Ross Chastain, who's right on that playoff bubble, was running in the top 15, top 10 for most of the day, and all of a sudden, he's mired back in the pack, gets lapped because his car is stuck in the grass, and ruined any chance he had at gaining on that bubble, gaining on Bubba Wallace. So we'll talk about that playoff bubble later on. Let's look at the results of this race. First, Tyler Reddick is your winner. It's his 2nd win of the season. He's been the hottest driver this summer. I saw somewhere, I can't remember where, on Twitter, that Tyler Reddick has like an average finish of like 3.3 over the last 7 races. This summer, he has been insane. And that's the thing about Tyler Reddick this year. Tyler Reddick has led a ton of laps. He's won a few stages, and he's competed for a lot of wins. He should have like 5 or 6 wins by now. But he's cost himself some wins. His team's cost him some wins. Some poorly timed cautions have cost themselves some wins. And now, finally, things work out for him. And once again, it looked like a poor timed caution was going to cost him. But Tyler Reddick lost the lead on that first restart, but was able to gain it back and run away with this thing. He gets his 2nd win of the year, and here's why it's massive. He gets 5 bonus points for the win, first of all, but second, it puts him into the regular season championship lead. You got to remember, he's the most recent superspeedway winner at Talladega back in April. In Darlington, he could have won that race in the spring if he didn't, kamikaze into Chris Buescher there. So we got 2 tracks he could very well win at coming up here heading into the playoffs, and he's already the hottest driver in NASCAR right now. So Tyler Reddick heading into these playoffs is red hot. They needed bonus points with these first 2 rounds having some chaotic wild card races like Atlanta, Talladega, the Roval, Watkins Glen. You need all the points you can get. So ultimately Reddick winning this thing helps him with the win because it's a win, first of all. And second of all, you get bonus points for it. And also you get some advantage in the regular season championship. So Tyler Reddick with the big win. Toyota's first win since 2015 at Michigan. So big win for them. William Byron finished his 2nd. He had the lead on that final restart. Kind of blew it. I really thought William Byron always sneaks up at the end of these things. And with a late race restart's able to get the win. But had the lead on the outside, which was the heavily preferred line. But Brad Keselowski just didn't get a good jump, and he wasn't able to push Byron into turn 1. Reddick had the push into turn one from Ty Gibbs, and Byron ends up finishing second. Ty Gibbs, what a points day. Ty Gibbs has been doing this recently. They were like 80 or 90 points above the playoff cutoff line at some point, and all of a sudden, it just started all going wrong. Their engines started blowing, cars were bad, or whatever it may be, get caught up in an incident. All of a sudden, they're only like 15 points above the playoff cutoff line. Well, today, collected a lot of stage points, ends up finishing third. A great day for Ty Gibbs, but still, it may come down to needing a win. Fourth place, Kyle Busch. Oh my gosh, this is the most shocking top five of Kyle Busch's career. Kyle Busch ran top five most of the day, believe it or not. He won a stage. He led laps. It's been a horrific year for Kyle Busch. No secret about it. But all of a sudden, out of this Olympic break, RCR, like, where did this come from? They needed to play a little bit of strategy to get themselves in position, but they held their own. They did fine. Kyle Busch led for 20 or something laps. 24 laps. They were actually kind of fast today. And with how fast Austin Dillon was last week, maybe they found something over the Olympic break. Maybe it's just a track position thing, but hey, they'll take it. They still need a win to get in the playoffs, but hey, they'll take it at this point. Fifth place, Brad Keselowski at his home race. Sixth place, Chris Buescher. After that wreck at the beginning of stage two, whenever it was, into stage two, I thought they were done for. I thought they'd be leaving this race 26 points below the cutoff line, having to win at Daytona or Darlington. But they persevered through the troubled times. And Chris Buescher, they decided to come in. They were running 17th, 18th, decided to put on some fresh tires at the end of this race for the overtimes. And due to there being extra overtime, they went from like 18th to 10th and then 10th to 6th. What a finish. Remember, he won this race a year ago. Comes back with a 6th with a damaged race car. Great day. Zane Smith 7th. Zane Smith has been quietly good this summer. You look at the second at Nashville and people say, oh, it's fluky and whatnot. But Zane Smith has been consistently top 20 recently. He had a horrific start to the year. No question about it. There's a reason he's in the 30s in the points. It's because the first 10 races of the season, horrible, horrific, terrible, disastrous, whatever other words you want to put to it. But Zane Smith has been consistently top 20 as of late and is kind of reminding everyone why he's a top prospect in NASCAR, why he's a champion in the Truck Series, why he's a really good driver. And once again, he's shown it here. And yes, the late race restart helped with the tires, but ultimately he got a top 10. 7th place, great run for Zane Smith. 8th place, Daniel Suarez, great day for him. Led some laps thanks to the pit cycle. Denny Hamlin somehow, some way finished 9th with that damaged car. 10th place, Carson Hocevar. How about that? The double top 10 for Spire. Good for them. 11th place, Ryan Preece. Great day for him. 12th, Gregson. 13th, Stenhouse. 14th, Harrison Burton. Good day for him. Chase Elliott, 15th. This should have been the day for Chase Elliott to do something in terms of the regular season championship. He had top 7 speed today. They led 30 laps on the day. And ultimately, after Larson wrecked and Bubba was out of this thing, they should have been in contention for this win. But ultimately, they were running 6th or 7th in that final restart. Elliott gets up the track, gets into Ryan Blaney. They both go backwards. And it cost Elliott a competitive finish. It cost Blaney a competitive finish. And Chase Elliott should have been a top 5 car today. The best cars were taken out right in front. It was kind of like Texas in a sense, where Larson, early speed, a lot of speed, and Elliott's there to pick up the pieces. Hamlin wrecks. Reddick has his issues. But today, they weren't able to take advantage of those other guys' issues, and the late race restart kind of screwed him. And all of a sudden, when he could have really taken the regular season lead and then some, they end up still being behind in it. Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, Ryan Blaney, as I said, got screwed by Chase Elliott there. Elliott just ran up the racetrack, got into Blaney, and they both went backwards. 19th, McDowell. 20th, Justin Haley. Good day for him. 21st, Cody Ware. What if I told you Cody Ware got a stage point today? Would you believe me? Well, if you don't believe me, it's a fact. It happened. Cody Ware stage point. Barry, 22nd. Hemrick, 23rd. Truex, 24th. That was not a caution at the end once again. Had a top 5 run going, and he just lost the car, hit the wall. It ended his day, essentially. 24th. I mean, they finished the race, but ended his chance of being competitive. Chastain, 25th. Wallace, 26th. As I said, Chastain, that last caution really screwed him over. Got spun on that restart, and, well, 25th. 26th, Bubba Wallace. We already talked about him a bit. They've been so great as of recently. Great finish at Indianapolis, winning a stage at Indianapolis, running great at Richmond, good result at Richmond. And then here, they were running great. They had a competitive race-winning speed. And, well, they got wrecked. And it wasn't their fault. Nothing they could have done about it. And ultimately, Wallace finishes 26th and is now back below the cutoff line when they actually were gaining a lot of ground. At one point in this race, I think they were like plus 20 maybe. Alex Bowman, 27th, 28th, Cindric, 29th. John Hunter, Nemechek, 30th, AJ Allmendinger, Briscoe, 32nd, Corey LaJoie. Oh, my God. So I leave the room for 15 seconds to get a sip of water. I just want to get a cup of water. Stay hydrated. And I come back in the room and Rick Allen's saying, yeah, Corey LaJoie flipped. And I'm like, hold on, what? Like, he flipped his lid like he got mad at someone? No, they cut, and there's Corey LaJoie on his lid. Jeff Burton was really mad about it because he was saying the car should not flip over that easily, and he's not wrong. That car flipped over way too easily. So that's a problem. They got to get that figured out. We can't be having that. But Corey LaJoie flipped. Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, as I said, led a bunch of laps, didn't get stage points. Might have just cost himself a chance at the regular season championship. Tough day for Larson. Bell involved in the crash, and then Todd Gilliland as well. Well then, oh yeah, the playoff bubble. I tossed this thing too early. We got to look at the playoff bubble, ladies and gentlemen. The playoff bubble looks like this. We've got 12 guys in on wins. Remember, Austin Dillon no longer in the playoffs because his win does not count towards the playoffs. Martin Truex Jr., he can clinch a spot in the playoffs next week if he's plus 60 on the bubble. Ty Gibbs plus 39, solid position. And if there's not a new winner, I'd say he feels pretty good about himself. Chris Buescher plus 16 feels a little bit better, but next week's Daytona, so don't get too comfortable. And then Bubba and Ross. Pray there's not a new winner, or if it is the new winner, that's you. If they end up being this way heading into Darlington, we are about to have a showdown for the ages for that last playoff spot. Everyone else needs a win. But that's Michigan for you. 2 straight years of a Michigan Monday race. Whew. As I said, a lot happened in this race. A really good race, though. Really good race. We got Daytona next. The thing about Monday races is usually it shortens up, the time window to the next race. Well, next week's race is on Saturday, so we only got 5 days till the next Cup Series race. 4 days till the Xfinity Series race. Should be exciting. Yeah. Cool. I'll see you guys in the next one. As I said, the Monday after will be tonight, so tune in for that. I'll tell you more about it in the community post, and I'll see you in the next one.